about to do some midweek magic on Arena, and the event is Historic Pauper, my favorite. Um, it's one of the few times that I get to jam a lot of sessions. As you can see, I got a lot of decks. Almost all of these, um, almost all of these are Historic Pauper. Some are Standard Pauper. Some are Historic Pauper Brawl. But we're going to try and run through quite a few of them. First one I ran a few games with already, but I didn't do a deck tech at the beginning, and I missed out on that. So I did want to do it here, and I want to try and do deck techs. Move this here. Move this over there. Oh, come on. I want to do deck techs of them. Come on now. Here we go. Gosh, this is so hard for me to do with my fumbly old man hand. So, anyway, here we are. So we are Monogreen Groff. Bayou Groff is obviously the highlighted card. This is an attempt to try and play a little bit more of a faster green aggro deck. In Historic Pauper, green is actually a lot more of a mid-range style deck. There's a lot of value plays you see. Packmate is more common of a card because you see a lot of creatures like Owlbear, a Landwar Visionary. You have all these cards that green creatures that are decently statted and draw you a card, and you kind of ramp into these bigger plays. You got Trumpeting Herd, you got all these value plays, drawing more cards, and you get just kind of a glut of green creatures that just can't be stopped. Very greenish. I like the way it feels. I've never really been like a super big fan of the Stompy version of mono green that you see on MTGO in like Vintage Pauper. I like it. It just doesn't always feel as green to me. Like, it feels like it's a green-white deck. You're getting a lot of little dudes, give them some pumps, and you crash through. But this does lean a little bit closer to what you might expect to see. You don't have a lot of great value one drops. That is what you're lacking on Arena compared to MTGO. So the ones that I have are really here to facilitate getting Groff, being able to power out your two power dudes that are really good, protecting your threats, and just keep kind of crashing. So biggest enablers, you have Landwar Elves at the very beginning. These are okay sack fodder. So typically what you'll see is you play land, you play Landwar Elves, you play your second land, you tap your Landwar Elves and a land, and then you play out Groff, leaving your open green mana for Tameo Safekeeping and Snakeskin Veil, right? Something to protect your big dude. Then you have a few fight spills to clear the way, ram through to push through, Savage Swipe, just a few things that I've been trying. You can get to a relatively decent amount of mana to be able to cast Krashuk. You rarely get to a point where you're going to scavenge it. I think I've maybe done it once in a game that kind of stalled out. But it's really more so for the fact that it is a pump spell and it's also a creature. 4 mana you can get to pretty regularly. The other little enabler for an early Groff is Kalani Gardener. I think this is essential, so you could turn one as if you don't get the Landwar Elves, or even if you do get the Landwar Elves. But if you get a mana enabler, or even if you just get a straight land, you can play the garden out on turn 1. You've got a creature. Your next land is going to let you play your Groff. So you want to get your Groff down as quickly as possible. This helps enable that. Same thing with Jasper Sentinels too. So like you could turn 1 Jasper Sentinels, turn 2 Kalani Gardeners. Even though it's a tap land, you're going to be able to get that extra mana. I'm trying out this. I got one of these, Praise Vengeance. It's actually a pretty cool card. I might have to play a little bit more with this because it's been working out really well. You got a little bit of draw and Packmate, just because I can spread it out for 4 mana over 2 turns. Null Hunters, easily one of the more impressive 2-drops. You can get to 6 power pretty easily, and then these things kind of get out of control. They're kind of like the stealth hero of the deck. Groff is, the namesake, but these guys do a lot of heavy lifting, and they can get out of control really quickly. Tranodon is sneaky good. A lot of people will let it sit because it's a defender, it's not really doing anything, but you play it out, and then the next turn Groff hits the board, it's attacking for 3/3 for 2, and then you can enable itself by the Dustshell Crawler, which I think is the best one of these cards. Green has several of them that allow creatures that have 1/1 counters on them, give them trample, which I think is important because you want to kind of crash through. Gives you a little bit of combo potential with ram through, but you need to come through with damage, and this putting a creature on it, it's being a pretty robust body that can block 2-power creatures and just kind of stonewall them for a little bit. And in a pinch, it's an 0/3. It's like if I have to sacrifice this thing, I get a counter on something, I crash through with something, hit him for some damage, and then I want to play out a second Groff, I'm okay losing an 0/3 if I don't necessarily need the trample. Tranquil Thickets, it kind of gives me a little bit of draw. It might be a little bit greedy having 5 tap lands in a more aggressive deck. I get it. But you really don't have a lot of draw until I get a few more cards or a few more options crop up on Arena. This is kind of where we're at. So again, it's not your prototypical green mono green deck. You're going to see that be more mid-range. This is just trying something a little bit different, a little bit lower on the curve, and more aggressive. So you'll see in a few games that I recorded later how it does, and we'll try and do a few more of these with the decks that we go through today. Just kind of see what I've got in my collection, what the format's capable of. A lot of fun stuff. So hope you enjoy, and we'll catch you later.